Voters in 7 states are heading to the polls today. Colorado, Maryland, New York, Oklahoma, and Utah have their primaries. Mississippi and South Carolina are holding runoff elections. For Campaign 2018 Local Matters, we're taking a closer look at Mississippi. Voters there are deciding who will be on the ballot this November for House and Senate races. Mississippi Democrats are choosing between a party stalwart and a newcomer for the nomination to the U.S. Senate. State House Minority Leader David Baria and venture capitalist Howard Sherman finished first and second in a 6th-candidate June 5th primary. 2 Republicans are battling to represent the state's 3rd congressional district. That race is between District Attorney Michael Guest and business consultant Whit Hughes. Bobby Harrisson is the senior Capitol reporter for Mississippi Today. He joins me now from Jackson, Mississippi. Bobby, let's start with the Senate race. Give us some background on both Baria and Sherman.
Well, as you said, Baria is the state House Democratic leader. He's a 3rd-term legislator. He's been sort of a solid voice for the Democrats in the legislature. And Howard Sherman is the venture capitalist who sort of made his money in Los Angeles, which is where he's from California. But he's also the husband of Mississippi actress Sheila Ward, who is a Emmy Award-winning actress and well thought of in the state. And they now live in Meridian, Mississippi, and he's come back and opted to run for this Senate seat, and it's turned into quite a battle between Sherman and Baria. They both run a spirited campaign. Baria's gotten the endorsements of most of the Democratic elected officials in the state, not all of them, but most of them. And Sherman's kind of depended a lot on his own deep pockets to finance his race, and he's done better than a lot of people expected. His money makes a big difference in Mississippi Democratic politics because traditionally, over the past several elections, Democrats in Mississippi have had a hard time raising money for their campaigns. So Sherman's put about $850,000 at least of his own money into the campaign. That's made a huge difference.
Now, it was such a close race in the primaries. They were each within about 1% of each other on June 5th. So who do you think might come out ahead today, and how much does it really matter in November?
Well, those are both good questions. And the first question, it's so much. The turnout was real low, and the vote was so close. It depends on which candidate is able to get his voters back to the polls today. There's this train of school of thought that Baria, who has deep roots in the Democratic Party of Mississippi, his voters more likely to come back to the polls for a runoff. But Sherman, as I said, has run a spirited campaign and has worked real hard. So it's anybody's guess. I think I won't be surprised either way. Now, as far as November, Roger Wicker is a Republican incumbent. He's considered a heavy favorite to win re-election and expected to win by a comfortable margin. But this is an interesting race, and that both Baria and Sherman are running legitimate campaigns, which doesn't always occur, in Mississippi when there's a strong Republican incumbent already in office. They're running legitimate campaigns, and they're running as true Democrats. They're not trying to run necessarily to the middle. They're not running as way out to the left, but they're running as true Democrats. They both criticize President Trump, which is unusual in Mississippi politics. Various talks about raising the minimum wage. So they're running true Democratic campaigns, which, as I said, is not always the case in Democratic primaries in Mississippi. There's a tendency to try to run towards the middle. So I guess they're viewing that there's a Democratic base out there that they can tap into that would not only help them today, but maybe even carry them in November in the general election.
Do you think either of them really stand a chance in such a red state? And how pivotal is this seat in the Senate?
It's considered a safe Republican seat. So, if either one of them, if the winner today won in November, it would be the biggest political upset. And I've been covering Mississippi politics for a long time, and it'd be the biggest political upset I've seen. It did occur, but there's a few wild cards in play that could make a difference. First of all, while President Trump's popular in Mississippi, there is some resentment toward him, and it's pretty enthusiastic, that resentment. And there's also a special Senate election on that same day. Thad Cochran, who is other U.S. Senator, resigned earlier this year for health reasons. So there's going to be a special election to replace him. And that election is getting a lot of attention because Mike Espy is running as a Democrat. He was the first black elected to Congress from Mississippi since Reconstruction. And he also was the Ag Secretary in the Clinton administration. And some people think he can energize a sizable African-American voting base and make that election and the special election as well as the Wicker election closer than it might normally be.
Well, we'll see if there's any kind of signs for an upset.